Hello, everybody. In this video, we are going to discuss some DBT techniques, which is DBT stands for Dialectical Behavior Therapy. This modality of therapy is awesome because it teaches you to control intense emotions, reduce self destructive behavior, manage distress, and improve relationships. And then it just has a lot of hands on, like little exercises you can use in the moment, especially when you're distressed, to just kind of bring you back into the moment and process how you feel, or just kind of reduce those big emotions you'll feel in that moment. So, in practice, I don't use DBT that often. However, I do use a lot of techniques in the practice because they're very practical and they really just make good sense. And so, whether perceived or actual, emotional stress is challenging to deal with, especially for someone who has a trauma history. And so, a good site to just kind of listen to read over DBT is Positive Psychology. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is just kind of my research from the website, from various websites, so that I can help you understand the techniques better. And I also have a book of DBT techniques to just kind of help people. So, those are my resources for this video. And so let's get back to what we were talking about. So, the inability to significantly, well, some people have the inability to just kind of calm down in moments of crisis, especially when they feel helpless and out of control. And so, your ability to manage an emotional incident without feeling overwhelmed is called distress tolerance. And so, being able to handle difficult emotions can help a person move more quickly, just kind of return to a state of equilibrium, which is just kind of a fancy word for balance. It's just, it'll calm you down. And then, so when new stressors arise, you can just, again, use the techniques to just kind of balance yourself again. And so, these techniques are really great at just kind of using day to day. I love them because they also use like various mnemonic devices, which I think is really great. I am the queen of mnemonic devices. Okay, and so to give you a technical definition, is just distress tolerance skills allow a person to survive an immediate emotional crisis without making it worse. They also help them accept the reality of a situation when they feel out of control because they can't change the situation. A lot of times, if you can't control the outcome of something, it just kind of really builds your anxiety. And then once it builds your anxiety, it also builds your response to that pain. So, another benefit to is that distress tolerance skills also help people cope with feelings when they don't know exactly what they need or want at that moment. So the most frequently taught distress tolerance skills are, that's going to be a tongue twister for me, guys. So, is self-soothing techniques, tip skills, which is spelled TIPP, the stop skill to stop yourself from engaging in impulsive behavior, pros and cons, radical acceptance, distraction, and improving the moment. So, crisis survival skills are short term coping strategies that help manage emotional pain to avoid destructive behavior. Sometimes, when you feel extreme emotional distress, you'll do whatever you can to avoid the pain. Some people participate in self harming behaviors, cutting, burning, running away from situations. Some people just kind of go into themselves and mentally avoid a situation. Using drugs and alcohol is also like an avoidance, a protective kind of coping strategy. The avoidance of emotional pain may lead to more harmful or risky behaviors that have serious long-term consequences. Sometimes people do really reckless things, like they become promiscuous, or they start to do like all sorts of other thrill seeking activities just so they can just numb away the pain that they feel. So, using distress tolerance skills can help you, a person lower the intensity again of that emotional pain, and the person can utilize these skills that we're going to discuss later on in the video as often as they would like. So the first skill I mentioned was self-soothing, using your senses. So some adaptive self-soothing techniques include using all of your senses to mentally and emotionally ground yourself. This means that you will use these techniques. And so grounding is basically just kind of a fancy word for you to just kind of realize in that moment that you're okay, and that the panic the panic that you feel or the anxiety that you feel right now is associated to your past trauma and not what's happening to you right now. So, self soothing instructs you to just kind of use your senses. So, see, look at all the colors and textures in the environment, the color of the grass, the texture of the grass, the color of the tree bark, the texture of the tree bark. Here, listen to the sounds around you, or listen to your own breathing. I would suggest you not listen to your own breathing if you're having a panic attack, not unless you're trying to do something to slow the cadence of your breathing. Like some people have um, a song that they'll have in their head to just kind of to mirror their breath to that cadence, and it'll slow their breathing down. But hear the sounds around you. If you're in the park, birds chirping, dogs barking, whatever it is, just try to focus in on that sound. Touch. Have a seat and feel under your legs, the clothing on your skin, the breeze in your hair. So what I was trying to say is, hey, when you have a seat, feel the chair underneath your legs. Your taste, take a small piece of candy or an herb and pay attention to it tastes in your mouth. And then the last sense is smell. Acknowledge the smells in the rooms, light a candle, or you can use any kind of aromatherapy. I know for me, I love the smell of frankincense and myrrh, either together or separately. I love them. That's really good for me. I may not, because I'm not a meditation person, like closing your eyes and just kind of letting your mind be still. But when it comes to closing my eyes and not closing my eyes, but just trying to read something that's meditational and having those scents in the house, it just seems a lot more comfortable, especially after I've taken a bath and I'm relaxing. So putting yourself in those, like smelling those smells, like if you've taken a bath one time before and just kind of smelling the aromas and visualizing yourself in that bathtub and just kind of remembering what you saw, how the water sounded, what it felt like on your skin. So putting yourself in scenarios like that could help too. Um, the and sometimes like in therapy, people will give you an object to hold in your hand and just kind of feel it and smell it and touch it and manipulate it in your hands to just kind of make you pay attention to that object in the moment and not be overwhelmed by those feelings. Another one is weighing the pros and cons of a situation. Although this sounds like a simple technique, when there's a crisis situation, we often make emotional rather than rational decisions. Our body and minds are in flight or fight mode, and we want to get out of the distressing situation as quickly as possible. When we do not weigh our choices carefully, we make rash and impulsive choices that lead to harmful consequences. So, sometimes when you want to get away, again, you're not thinking things through. Like the way out may be pushing people down, pushing older people, pushing children, becoming aggressive, becoming violent, not understanding that the consequences of that is that the police may be looking for you or may charge you with assault and battery. So just thinking things through, like sometimes even just feeling like you have to fight if it's like a one-on-one situation and a person is overwhelming you, and you feel like you have to hit them or kick them or bite them in some way, versus just saying, you know what, I'm going to walk away, get out of this area so that I can calm myself down. So, again, weighing the pros and cons simply means that you are pausing to take a moment to think logically about your situation and then what are my next steps. Um, I, if you have time, I would suggest like you write down your list of pros and cons. Sometimes if you have to have like a really emotional conversation with someone, it may be difficult and you're worried about the consequences of it. Or writing down the pros and cons of actually having this conversation. What is that going to look like? And then there's radical acceptance. So, radical acceptance is a technique that sometimes requires a lot of practice, but when implemented, can be very useful. People often feel out of control, which increases their anxiety and feelings of distress. Well, radical acceptance means that you just accept the state of things as they are, like without working to change them. Basically, it is what it is. So, if like one situation I can think about, if you're in a class and the class is wild and they're rowdy, I mean, I know it may be distressing or it may be annoying, but like if the teacher allows you, go in the corner, put on your music, or try to figure out a way to just kind of close it out. But standing up, y'all shut up, screaming at the top of your lungs or trying to wrangle the class. Well, it is what it is. You've been in the class, you know it's rowdy, you know the kids are rowdy, they're not going to listen to you. So you have to figure out a way to make yourself safe in that moment and calm in that moment so that you can just reduce your emotional distress. So when you relinquish the need to control a situation and understand that there is nothing you can do to change it, the pressure of fixing things often subsides. I will be honest, as a therapist, when I first started, it was really, really hard not to want everybody to be quote unquote fixed. It would drive me crazy. I would stay up trying to read books, or I would try to figure out like this quirky thing I said. I'm just in the middle of the day. I'm just texting clients like these things, this. It was so overwhelming, and I can only give a person the tools to change. I can give them everything I know. I can give them wisdom. I can give them techniques. I can give them tools. I can give them all the support in the world. But until that person is ready to change, there is nothing I can do about it. And I try to put that in situations, in life situations too. When it involves another person or a dog, a cat, a baby, it is not you have no control over what happens, and so just accept it for what it is. So it just, again, radical acceptance, because I want to make sure I give you a definition you can understand. It merely means observing a situation without emotion and accepting that we are not omniscient beings, and some things are simply out of our control. We can't control it. And so distraction is another tool. So when all else fails, the best skill is to practice maybe distraction. Distraction. I think this is going to be again like a tongue twisting video the entire time. So forgive me if I'm messing up, guys. I'll figure it out along the way. So, although humans like to think that we can multitask, our working memory limits how much information it can process at one time. So, if someone is feeling particularly overwhelmed, it may help them to temporarily do something else to distract themselves from distressing situations. I am an avid DIYer, and I have noticed that when I can't get something done like the first time, or something is a little tricky, I have to walk away from it and then come back, and it helps me think a little bit better. Because years ago, I would never put anything together because I never got mad about a lot of things, but putting things together, my frustration tolerance was really, really low. And so I just learned how to do a little bit at a time. And so now, if something is frustrating, I put it together I don't have that. My frustration tolerance is a little bit higher. So distraction, well, that's opposite. It's lower. So distraction can involve physically leaving a location or an action such as calling a friend, watching television, reading a book, or playing with your pets. Playing with your pets, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful skill, coping strategy to use. So improving the moment. So the improved skill stands for imagery, meaning, prayer, relaxation, one thing in the moment, vacation, and encouragement. So these are smaller distress tolerance skills that can be utilized as needed. So just remember that prayer doesn't have to be religious. It can involve reciting a mantra or a quote to connect to the world spiritually. Relaxation can be things like deep breathing or progressive muscle relaxation. We discussed that in a previous video. One thing in a moment means to slow down and partialize a problem. So addressing each part at a time rather than feeling overwhelmed by a situation. Like you'll see these people like getting ready for their wedding and they are freaking out because they're thinking about everything that needs to be done at one moment. But if they had planned things out, if they delegated certain tasks, if they had gotten some things in place before, like pre-ceremony, if they created a to-do list, the more you plan, the better things are. And I don't mean planning in the sense of trying to control a situation, but planning in the sense to manage a situation. Those are two different things. So vacation is similar to the distraction skills, taking a break from stress. So, a vacation from your thoughts. That is, again, like reading a book or watching a movie or talking to another person. It's just taking a vacation from those overwhelming and negative thoughts. At the same time, encouragement is a form of self soothing that involves self talk and a reminder that this distressing state of mind is merely temporary. Like reminding yourself that it'll be over soon, that I am doing a good job, I'm going to make it. Like things are not as bad as they seem, and if they are, it will be over soon. So the other thing is just kind of resetting the system. So it may be difficult to for you to regulate your emotions when you're in an extreme state of arousal, which just means when you're in distress, your body is responding to it. Some of us sweat, some of us shake, some of us can't breathe. It just means your body is working hard. So it's just kind of overheating, it's overwhelmed, and it's overloaded. And so, again, your body, you may fight or you may freeze. So the only way to recover is just kind of restart the system, and that's returning it back to its working state. So a comprehensive list of self-regulating and self-soothing skills um, are temperature with cold water, intense exercise, paced breathing, paired muscle relaxation. Those are examples. I know I said comprehensive list. Like there's so many you can use that it's not really a comprehensive list that I'm discussing. I just wanted to give you a few examples. So, okay, so there are two skills I want to go over that are really popular in DBT. Is interpersonal effectiveness skills and distress tolerance skills. The distress tolerance skills will be just kind of a review of what we talked about previously, but it'll be a little bit more concise. And I think in this section I can explain it a little bit better. But we're going to kick this off with the interpersonal effectiveness skills. So, learning to get along with others while also asserting your own needs is essential to healthy relationships. It can be difficult to balance your own needs and the needs of others. So, how can you get what you need without being aggressive or neglecting the needs of others? There are three sets of skills you will learn to help achieve this goal. So, objective effectiveness, relationship effectiveness, and self respect effectiveness. So, objective effectiveness is the dear man. So that's back to that just kind of pneumatic device is similar to it, which is why I love it. So what is the goal of an interaction? Objective effectiveness is about getting what you want out of a situation, and the acronym Dear Man will remind you how to clearly express your needs and desires. So dear is describe. So describe the situation objectively. This means sticking to the facts by avoiding opinion and interpretation. The goal is to get everyone on the same page. Express. Let others know how a situation makes you feel by clearly expressing your feelings. Don't expect others to read your mind. Try using this line, I feel because. So I feel sad because I feel sad because this situation has been stressful and depressing, whatever it is. I know that's not a great example, but it's I feel because. Never accuse, because once you accuse, then everybody's not on the same page because now I have to defend myself. So assert. Don't beat around the bush. Say what you need to say. Don't say, oh, well, I don't know if I can cook tonight or night. Do say, I won't be able to cook because I'm working late. I had a scenario like this in the last couple of weeks in session. One partner, after they worked a long day, asked the other partner, after this partner has worked a long day, the partner that's at home asked if that person could pick something up. Well, they wanted to say, you've been home all day, so why are you asking me this? Like, you could have at any time gone to pick it up and, by the way, have some for me too. And so that person spoke up, and then now that partner actually went out and got what they wanted and got that person some too, and everybody was happy. So reward people who respond well. So I'm sorry, the word is reinforce. So reward people who respond well and reinforce why your desired outcome is positive. This can be as simple as a smile and saying thank you. So far we've went over describe, express, assert, reinforce. Mindful. Don't forget the objective of the interaction. It can be easy to get sidetracked into harmful arguments and lose focus. Sometimes you have to just kind of pause the whole thing and say, this is really emotional. Can we just take a moment to calm down, to breathe or something, and then we can pick this conversation up in just a moment? Because if you're arguing, you're yelling, and you're name calling, it's unproductive, and it's really not going to get you anywhere. So appear confident. Consider your posture, tone, eye contact, and body language. 9 times out of 10, if you're having a conversation with someone and it's important to you, and you can't make contact, your shoulders are slumped, you're just kind of kicking at the ground or a rock or something. It doesn't come off as confident, and sometimes people will have a tendency to just kind of ignore what you have to say because you didn't say it confidently. Assertive skills are really important, and I know sometimes that's really hard being a young person trying to assert yourself. But any space that you're in, this is how I use it for myself. Any space that I'm in, I deserve to be in, especially if I was invited in that space. I deserve to be in that space so I can. I'm afforded every opportunity of the other people that are in that space to assert myself. So negotiate. No one can have everything they want out of an interaction all the time. So be open to negotiation. Do say, if you wash the dishes, I'll put them away. And so that's just making sure everybody gets what they need and want out of a situation. So the second one I mentioned was relationship effectiveness. Relationships aren't only about getting what you need, they're also about the other person. So the acronym GIVE will help you achieve relationship effectiveness by fostering positive interactions. So the G is gentle. Don't attack, threaten, or express judgment during interactions. Accept the occasional no for your request. No is not a bad word. No is just no. And for me, I allow people to give me a no because I want the no that I give them to be respected. So if you say no, that's fine. If I call someone and I am excited and they say, "Well, I'm really tired and I don't want to talk right now. Like, can we talk about this later?" My answer is like, "Sure, okay." I'm not gonna get upset because they asked me to call them back. Because if they ever call me and I want them to call me back because I'm tired or something's going on with me, I want my no to be respected. Interested. So show interest by listening to the other person without interrupting. This is why people get into a lot of disagreements and you can't hear everything that's being said because you're talking over one another, you're arguing, you're yelling. Just sit and listen. I mean, and if you have to, just make a mental note or make a physical note on a piece of paper so you can go back to a thing that you felt was inaccurate or you needed to clarify, and it'll be well better received because they in turn will hear you because you presented it when it was your turn to present it. Validate. Be outwardly validating to the other person thoughts and feelings. Acknowledge their thoughts and feelings. Recognize when your requests are demanding and respect their opinions. Just validate. Like, if my face is all scrunched up or I'm rolling my eyes or I'm huffing and puffing when someone is talking, that's not me acknowledging or validating that person's feelings. And you want to make sure that you do that. Have an easy, so the last word is easy. Have an easy attitude. Try to smile and act lighthearted. So this is you again giving in a relationship. So it's okay to have an easy attitude. Don't Sometimes you don't have to head things on with difficulty. Okay, and the last one is self-respect effectiveness, and that is the acronym FAST. So, fair, be fair, not only to others but also yourself. Like I always like to remind my clients that treat yourself like your own best friend. Like if your best friend messed up, made a mistake, or something went wrong, then you would just you would support that person. You would say you can try again. You would be so much more encouraging and supportive. Well, to me, be your own best friend. Do the same things to yourself. Encourage yourself, support yourself. I mean, hype yourself up. Like if you're doing a good job, yeah, whatever. Just, make sure you create a positive and supportive environment for yourself at times. So apologies. Don't apologize unless it's warranted. So again, don't apologize for making a request, having an opinion, or disagreeing. Those things are fine. You can absolutely have a different opinion, have a request for somebody you're creating a relationship or in a relationship with. And I don't mean just romantic, I mean friendships, I mean family. Stick to your values. Don't compromise your values just to be liked or to get what you want. Stand up for what you believe in. A lot of times we make friends with people and we don't have the same value system. And then this person is asking us to do something that makes us uncomfortable. But because we want to be liked, we'll go ahead and do that thing. Well, stick to your values. Like if it's not something you agree with, not something you feel cool with, then it's okay to say, yeah, I'm not doing that. Or find people that align closer with the value system you've created for yourself. And be truthful. Avoid dishonesty such as exaggeration, acting helpless as a form of manipulation, or outright lying. So avoid those things, because what they do, is obvious. It causes more issues in the relationship, and it's just going to open up a can of worms that you really don't want. Okay, so I'm going to go back over radical acceptance, because this little section is going to explain it a little bit further and give you just kind of better examples. So, radical acceptance, it's sometimes you'll run into a problem again that's simply out of your control. It could be easy to think this isn't fair, or I shouldn't have this problem, even though those ways of thinking only make the pain worse, right? So it is just radical acceptance again is just a healthier way of thinking during these situations. Instead of focusing on how you would like something to be different, you will recognize and accept the problem or situation as it is. So remember, accepting is not the same as liking or condoning something. Learning to accept the problems that are out of your control will just lead to you feeling less anxiety, anger, and sadness when dealing with them. I love this tool because, again, it's just accepting what it is, period. There's nothing else that you can do. And sometimes having this mindset will allow people to just kind of respect your position a little bit better. Like trying to control your friends, making sure they don't do the wrong thing. Well, it is what it is. Like, if that's the decision you've decided, I'm going to give you what my opinion is, especially if you ask it. If you choose to do what you want to do, then you just do it. I'm going to allow you to do what you need to do. And I'm going to try not to be distressed. I'm going to use my coping skills so that I won't be distressed, and I just allow you to live out life in the way that you want to live it. So, the example is a situation: you find out that you were not selected for a job that you felt you were the best candidate. So the typical thinking is, this isn't fair. I did everything right. I was the best one there. They can't do this to me. Well, radical acceptance is the thought would be, it's frustrating that I didn't get the job, but I accept that they felt someone else would be a better fit. Notice that the person didn't say better than me, better for the job. No, I'm sorry, not better for the job. The person wasn't better than me. So it's taking yourself out of this situation because you understand what your skill set is. We already went over that in another video. Like, I know who I am. I have a more balanced view of myself because I've been working on just kind of dismantling those negative core beliefs. And now I have a balanced belief in myself. And that person may have been a better fit. Years ago, I used to work for Lady Foot Locker, and someone was promoted over me, and I remember just being a little irritated initially, but then I asked my manager what did I need to do if there was another assistant manager position to come open. What could I do to have that spot? Once I had that conversation, she showed me what to do, and really I applied myself. Because if I'm honest, before, when the other girl was promoted, she really did deserve the spot. I wasn't doing anything great or glamorous to try to get the assistant manager job other than sell. Okay, and the last distress tolerance skill is distraction, which is noted by the acronym accepts. So negative feelings usually pass or at least lessen in intensity over time. It can be valuable to distract yourself until the emotions subside. So the acronym accepts, serves as a reminder of the idea. So A is activities. Engage in activities that require thought, concentration. That could be a hobby, a project, work, or school. Contributing is the C. So focus on someone or something other than yourself. You can volunteer, do a good deed, or do anything else that will contribute to a cause or a person. Comparisons. Look at your situation in comparison to something worse. Remember a time when you were in more pain or when someone else was going through something more difficult. Um, Emotions. Do something that will create A competing emotion. So feeling sad, watch a funny movie. Feeling nervous, listening to soothing music. So push away. Do away with negative thoughts by pushing them out of your mind. Imagine writing your problem on a piece of paper, crumbling it up, and throwing it away. Refuse to think about the situation until a better time. One exercise that may be good for that, like the red balloon exercise I discussed in the meditation video, like writing your problems on that red balloon and just kind of imagining that problem floating away and no longer being an issue. Thoughts. So when your emotions take over, try to focus on your thoughts. Count to 10, recite a poem in your head, or read a book. I used to use reading as a coping skill all the time. I loved it. It was great. I felt calm, I felt safe, and then I could just kind of focus on other people and their issues in the book. So find safe physical sensations to distract you from intense negative emotions. Wear a rubber band and snap it on your wrist. Hold an ice cube in your hand or eat something sour like a lime. Those coping strategies I just named there, like wearing the rubber band and snapping it, hold ice, and eating a lime, those are typically suggestions for people who engage in self harm. So that is all for DBT. Those are the techniques that I really like using. Hopefully, you guys can just kind of try these techniques, think these things through, and it'll just really kind of help lessen that emotional distress, especially after a trauma.